Empowerment Podcast, episode number 9. Episode number 9. We flowing right along with this thing. Good evening. Thank y'all for joining us. I am Jamarcus Fields, your host. I am also the founder and executive director of Iron Sharpens Iron WAST. That is WAST, which stands for We Are Stronger Together, where our mission is to empower and equip at-risk youth and justice involved individuals for successful reintegration into society. Um, and we're very active in the state of Indiana, northern, central, southern. Please tap into our website, Iron Sharpens Iron, WAST.org. You can follow us, see what we got going on, what different events. It's about to be a jam-packed summer, so we got a lot of events coming up. So tap into the website, see what we got going on. It'll show you all of our events, different ways you can support, assist, for those with justice involvement, even become an Iron Man and join the mission. So today I have two amazing guests with me, Mr. and Mrs. Matthews. I'm gonna give y'all a chance to introduce yourselves.
All right. So my name is Derek Matthews, and then my wife, and then
I'm Christy Matthews.
so a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised in Elkhart. Went to high school, Concord, graduated in 1992. Uh, Subsequently, in '99, I got a 30-year prison sentence and did 5 years on that sentence. Got modified out. A few years later, caught another instant offense, went back to the Department of Corrections, and did a total of 12 years. Upon my release about 11 years ago, um, I used to teach at this alternative high school called The Crossing. So I just leave it at that, then we'll go into some some more stuff. See.
Absolutely.
And I am Christy Matthews, born and raised in Danville, Illinois. Moved over to Elkhart, Indiana, roughly 6 years ago, 2018.
Mhm.
I came over here with 5 children, starting a new venture in life, to give my children a better opportunity with education. Our area did not offer the educational system that was offered here at the high school, and I wanted them to have a better chance at life. So we came here, and I'll leave it there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us as well. um, we like to make this interactive, so everybody joining in the chat room is open. If you have questions, if you're intrigued with something, you want to add something to the conversation, feel free to put it in the chat room, and we will bring it to the table in the conversation. So, Derek, you started, or you're part of, an a nonprofit organization called Project Scope.
That is
Um,
correct.
can you give us a little, let us know what Project Scope is? But in letting us know that, I also want to know, like, what was the motivating factor that got you invested in this project?
Okay. So Project Scope, the acronym SCOPE, is Soulless Community Outreach People Enhancement Incorporated. And the history of Scope is back in 1990, my older brother and his late wife started an after school program in my father's church in the basement. And they were doing, after school, they were mentoring the kids, they were feeding them, doing their homework. And they had that going for about 15 years. And then they kept the nonprofit going, but it went defunct for about another 15 years. Subsequently, when I got out of incarceration, for 6 years, I worked at an alternative high school called The Crossing in Elkhart. And we actually have a crossing in Indianapolis. They had crossings about 15 schools around the state. And
Okay.
after 6 years there, I was the third highest administrator in 2019. And when I left in 2019, I went to the board at the church and I said, hey, Elkhart locks up a lot of people per capita. We have one of the biggest county jails per capita. And upon release, there's only one transitional house in Elkhart for men. There's a lot of transitional houses for females, but for men, it was only one at that time. So I looked at the bylaws and scope, and I seen that we could do transitional housing. Okay.
Okay.
Um, my father is a pastor at a church, and they bought an old bank 20 some years ago, and the bank was vacant at the time. And so I pulled my wife in. We were dating at the time. She has really good, skills as far as is developing. And me working at a nonprofit for 6 years, school, I knew how to like go before city councils and different things like that to try to get stuff zoned and approved. So we got approved during COVID, 2019.
Wow.
Wife did a wonderful job at getting it off the ground, and we started taking residents in from all over, from DOC, from the county jail for work release, from reentry in South Bend, and that's where we are today.
Okay. So so now there are two transitional housing for men, correct?
Yes, in Elkhart, there is SOS Service of the Streets and us, Scope, Solus Community Outreach People Enhancement for men on the south side of
For men.
Elkhart. It's only two. We're one of two.
Okay. So there at Project Scope with transitional housing, what resources are provided for the men? Like when they come out and they come to Project Scope, what do they get?
Okay, so initially we were providing you know we provide bedding, we provide clothing. We're a nonprofit. They do have to work. There are fees, but now we get a lot of residents that come from excuse me, we get a lot of residents that come from drug court. So a lot of them already have jobs. So
Okay.
we do provide food if they don't have food initially, but they are to provide their own food, clothing. There's weekly fees. There is personal finance class that's facilitated every Monday by yours truly from 3 to 4. We have life skills class that is facilitated on Sunday nights from 7:30 to 8:30. And a lot of these men already have a lot of they're on house arrest, or they had to go to drug court. They have a lot of classes that they have to attend on top of working, and so we're there to just support them, encourage them. It's a 9 to 18 month program. Our goal when these residents leave is to either get off house arrest or get off parole probation, repair their relationships with their family and loved ones and kids, save up some money, and to be able to move back into the community and be successful contributing members of the community. That's our goal. And we track data as far as this program since 2019, 2020. And just a little bit of data is this. Since 2020, we've had 380 applicants. We've had 60 past residents. We have 6 current. We can house 7. We have 18 graduates. And then we have 198 hours of facilitating personal finance. And we have saved at $52.61 a day, which costs to incarcerate a person. Them not being incarcerated, being in our transitional house, we've had over 7,538 days of them living at our facility at
Mhm.
$52.61 a day, which is almost $400,000 that we have saved taxpayers since 2020.
Nice. Um, it amazes me that, there's it kind of amazes me, it kind of doesn't. That's a different story, but that there aren't, like adequate transitional housing for these men, and not just there in Elkhart. Like this is, you know, statewide. I can't necessarily speak facts outside of the state, but statewide here in Indiana, like that's one of the biggest issues from top to bottom of the state. You know, the the second leading cause of homelessness in Indiana is incarceration.
Yes, yes.
Like these men are simply displaced coming out of those facilities. And then, with there being so few, like they're not informed or knowledgeable of what resources are available to them. They're coming back to a foreign world just trying to figure it out. So
Yes.
I salute y'all in what y'all doing. Because it just seems like going that route is a very large task. Go ahead.
Yeah. And just to add, so we have a classroom there. So if some residents come, and we have partnerships in Elkhart with certain jobs that partnership with us that will hire some of our residents if they do not have employment. We do have a classroom where we have filters where we have Wi-Fi where guys can go on Indeed, fill out applications, um, freely. They can research things. We have blockers on there. You know, they have a nice living area. We have a resource board where there's resources that they can reach out to. So to try to encourage them, yeah, because recidivism is high. So just to say, to add to that, there's two transitional houses on the south side of Elkhart. Now,
Mhm.
Elkhart County, which in Goshen, they have the jail ministry, the chaplain, they started transitional houses in Goshen, Indiana. They have about 4 houses in Goshen.
Okay.
So there's about 4 houses in Goshen, but in Elkhart on the south side, it's only two. So
Okay.
and just to add, um, Elkhart County Jail, I believe, holds almost 1,000 inmates. Elkhart. So per
Wow.
capita, we have one of the biggest county jails. And so incarceration is big here. They're actually building a brand new courthouse. It's a consolidated courthouse. In Elkhart, it's about money. They will incarcerate people at a high rate here. But like I said, upon return, recidivism is high here, and the court system is flooded. So we're trying to keep those numbers down by
Right.
encouraging and empowering these men to be successful and not come back.
Absolutely. All right. We got a few comments in the chat. First, hey Amaya. So are there certain criteria that the men have to meet in
Yeah.
order to be admitted to scope?
Yeah. So once they go to um, our website at projectscope1333.org, they can fill out an application. Or there's a paper application, which a lot of the courts have. If they can't fill out the online version, they'll send a paper application. And the first 2 years, the city council put us on probation. We couldn't take any violent offenders or sex offenders because our proximity to the school. But now, after when I met with the city council last year, we're no longer on probation. So we've accepted violent offenders for the past almost 3 years, but we could never accept sex offenders. And you cannot come to our program with pending cases. So the instant offense already has to be you've already have to be sentenced and yeah. And
Right.
so like I said, it's a 9 to 18 month program. Once you're accepted, we can put them on a waiting list, and then upon a bed opening, they have to pay an initial fee. It's a one-time background check fee of $150. Then it's $100 a week.
Okay. Not bad. So when you say like initially they place y'all on a probationary status, is that
Yes.
normal? Is that something customary when starting that, or was there some
So
something else to
so
that?
yep. So what happened was we got some pushback, and my wife she was a part of that too. She could share. Um, we had an open house back in 2019, and she's got nursing background, so she had all the as far as during the COVID time and all the protocol, she handled that. But in 2019, we had an open house. And we invited all the city council, we invited the mayor, we invited the Elkhart police chief at the time.
We gotta know. We gotta know first.
You're right. We had to know. So a lot of people came in. We had, food and stuff for them, and a lot of people said, "We don't want people like that around us." I said, "Wow, people like that." I said, "You're looking at a person that did time incarceration, and I was the third highest administrator at a school before I came to do this." And they were like, and their eyes got lit up. So we got a lot of pushback from the community at that time, but we got some vital letters from some pastors and the Elkhart police chief at that time, Chris Snyder. I went to high school with him. And so the city council voted 4-1 against, but then they re-voted 3-2, which is the favor for us, but under the first 2 years probation. And then after the 2 years, they would come review us to see. And we haven't had any incidents. We haven't had any police calls. We haven't had anybody. Thank God, anybody incarcerated from our program. So God is on our side.
Amen. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
So when I think of this housing issue um, here, I think of all of the red tape that you have to cut through. And I heard you just make mention of, not wanting the violent offenders, the sex offenders, and then the zoning that comes with that,
The
having to be
zoning.
so
Yep.
many feet from a school or a
Yep. Yep.
church, and all of the red tape that you have to cut through that typically makes most people abandon the mission.
Yes.
Between the red
Yep.
tape, the politics, and everything that you have to go through, most people end up aborting the mission. So first and foremost, again, I salute y'all for staying the course, because it discourages a lot of people, which is, I think, contributes largely to why we don't have many of them. Um,
Yes.
and I think it's by design. So I say all that to ask, like, outside of the two we just named, what were some other uh, barriers that y'all had to get over in order to, I know the probation definitely was one.
Hmm.
I've kind of made mention of the zoning, but what would you say were the greatest obstacles or barriers that you guys had to get over to bring this to fruition?
It was the naysayers. It was the local community and from the surrounding area, the two block to a quarter mile area that
Okay.
were they would go down to the city council and still put in their word, even though we were approved. They would give us some pushback. And so in turn, what that did was a lot of partnerships at that time, people were hesitant. You know what? We don't know if we want to buy into this program. But we kept persevering, 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 and we're starting to network and have quite a few people. There's a judge in Goshen, the head. Her name is Judge Lund. She just got promoted to Supreme Court judge in South Bend, but she
Okay.
was the drug court judge in Goshen, and she approves our program. We're top notch. We're what because we are considered a secured facility because we have cameras, we have door sensors. So we're almost like work release. We're considered a secured facility, which is there's some women's shelters in Elkhart that are well known and they get a lot of grants. And one of the ladies who supports us said, you know what, we don't even use them because of they're not considered a secure facility. So we've been blessed at that. Yeah.
Okay. Um, Speaking of, is that the route y'all went in order to get this off the ground when it comes to funding? Did y'all do grants, fundraisers? Like, what are the logistics behind running and operating?
Right. So we had limited grants. We have limited grants, but our the weekly fees from the residents is how we're funded. Limited grants, and then we have some partnerships that yearly they have been committed to donate to our program. So that's how we're running right now.
Okay. And when you say limited grants, what exactly does that mean?
So in Elkhart, the Elkhart Community Foundation, which is the big grant organization, it's a lot of red tape when it comes to uh, getting grants approved through them, our program. So it's been a struggle. But
Okay.
we've had gotten some block grants. We've gotten some just some local Walmart, you know, grants like that. But as far as the big grants, we have not been successful so far. Um, we're not stopping. We're not stopping.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, I wanted to ask. So, you guys get some. I don't know if you said some or all, like of your referrals from the DOC
Yeah. So we
in
get
terms of men
yeah,
that
yeah,
come.
yeah. We get our referrals from DOC and the Department of Corrections. Westville. We get them from the Elkhart County Jail. We get them from work release. We get them from CCJ, which is Center for Community Justice in Elkhart. We get them from drug court. We get them from reentry in South Bend, where you go to a lot.
Mhm.
So between and then word of mouth, certain. Oh, there's a couple of treatment facilities in Albion, Indiana. They've been giving us referrals, so we're getting out there to where we're getting referrals from all over.
Okay. So how far is your reach? Is it just for your general area, surrounding counties, or like how far is the reach? And I ask that because like with the DOC, like for instance with South Bend being DOC, it's a melting pot. So you got people from all
Yes,
potentially all 92 counties
yes,
can potentially come there. So are you guys open to the state wide as a transitional housing or more guys that are local?
yes. We're open statewide. We actually want to eventually run this model in another city, just under the umbrella scope, but just have a satellite in another city.
Mhm.
Don't reinvent the wheel, but run this same program. We actually, one of our partners here in Elkhart, he's from Gary, Indiana, and
Okay.
he wants us to meet with the mayor to try to run scope in Gary, Indiana. So we would love to be able to run hubs. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
and we do get, and just to add, so we've gotten residents, quite a few residents from state workers in South Bend, and they have graduated. And some of the residents, they're not from here. We had one individual that once he graduated, did real well. His parole transferred him back to Atlanta, Georgia. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So we're trying to reach out.
Absolutely. That's amazing and it's very needed. Um
Yes, yes.
so I have to ask because this is something that's staying in my brain with the connection that you have in terms of getting referrals through the DOC. Um, I work with the DOC as well,
I know you do.
and I
Okay.
know they can be they can be a bit challenging sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what was that process like? Getting connected, getting the DOC on board for this referral process.
Right,
Um, because I know that wasn't a cakewalk.
right. So I think I don't remember how exactly it happened, but I think we had a resident that was on parole, and he was paroled from reentry in South Bend, or the word got out. And one of the counselors have reached out to me and sent me an email. I think that's what happened. And so I emailed them back and said, transitional house in Elkhart, and I gave them the website, and they were like, "Wow,
That's how you got in.
that's how we got in." They were like, "Wow." So then they came and did a tour, and then everything else is history.
Oh wow, ain't that it?
Yeah.
God, God,
So
God is
that's what
good, ain't he?
all the time, amen. So that's what has happened, Jamarcus, is we have given tours to every place that we partnership with. CCJ, drug court. They'll come with the city council, mayor. So everybody, the police chief, they've all came to tour, and they were like, "Wow, okay."
My
So
security system is 14.
yeah, 60. So we have 16 cameras, and it's an old bank.
Alarms on everything.
And there's door sensors, alarms everywhere on every door, and it's real clean. And so they're like, they're and then we present the program to them, and they're just,
Watching.
yeah.
Wow.
And you can
So,
monitor them 24/7. So
right.
to try to keep them in line, encourage them, empower them, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
because that's what they need, accountability.
Accountability and structure.
Yes, structure and
Yeah,
accountability.
like some
Yeah,
people definitely need that. I know in my younger days, I needed it. Like
right.
I,
Me
I
too.
needed
Me too.
it.
I had I
It
had to hit
kind of
my
is
head
what
twice.
it
I had to hit my head twice. I know.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. Uh, so Mrs. Matthews, I want to shift to you a little bit. With the just cause, and it's not falling on deaf ears. All the work that you've put in with Project Scope as well.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
yeah. You put it a lot. Yeah.
I went in with Project Scope. He handed me 6 pieces of paper and said, "Can you make this work?" I said, "I'm pretty sure I can make it happen for you." I handed him back 16. Got it up and running for him. Got it started. He had a passion for it because it was his life. It's part of his life story. So I wanted to make sure that it happened for him. So I went in and steered that ship for what, almost 2 years, to do all the back end work to get it up and running and going and getting all the paperwork together and all the rules and regulations and all of our sheets and paperwork and templates, and got all that squared away for him so he can take off.
nice, nice, nice. Wonderful to have that kind of support. So which came first, Project Scope or Just Cause?
It all kind of came in at the same time, to be quite honest, because I had been looking at that building first, and then we just decided best that he take the building because
Okay,
I wasn't actually in position and or ready to have a house for JDC. So it's more beneficial for him to take the unit, and put housing in it than for me to start, because what I'm doing with JDC is a build. I have to build onto it. So it worked out better that way for us.
amen. I'm looking in the chat. They said, "What an awesome help me." Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, I've already mentioned the name
Mhm.
of the other organization, Just Cause. Can you take a few minutes and tell us what Just Cause is, the backstory behind it, that led up to you starting Just Cause?
Yes, sir. So just cause JDC Inc. is youth and family services and or outreach, that I started in 2020. It was the same
Yeah.
time.
Just
So
yeah.
I launched in January of 2020. Um, I started this program in honor of my son. When I moved here to Elkhart, I came here with 5 children, single mother. I'm a registered medical assistant. I'm working 40 hours a week at one of the big clinics here in Elkhart. And I took a second job. I was working at an educational facility in Granger by the name of Ross. I took that position as a instructor for a brief amount of time because trying to be able to take care of my 5 children. And we're
Right.
here in a whole new place that we've never lived in. And I have 2 family members here that, you know, they're my age. So they're knowing they can't help me. So I did what I needed to do with my 5 children, got them enrolled in schools here, um, put my best foot forward, my head up, and got to work. Um, Nevertheless, we left Illinois because there was a lot of gang activity and violence happening in our area, and my
Right.
children were starting to get sucked into that, and I didn't want that for them. I'm not the type of mother that does a lot of partying and drinking. I don't drink, I don't smoke weed, I don't do the drugs. And they were venturing off into those scenes, and I couldn't have it. I just couldn't have it. So I felt like if I changed their environment, I could then help change their outcome. And for 4 out of 5, that worked. But my oldest son, it did not. And he ended up murdered here in Elkhart. They found my son on some railroad tracks September the 7th, 2019. He was on the railroad tracks over by Wagner, by the apartment complex over there, with multiple gunshot wounds at the age of 16 years old.
Tell us who you went to.
At the time, he was going to the crossing. This is how I met Mr. Matthews. He was going to the crossing because I couldn't keep that boy in school for nothing in the world. He just wouldn't stay in the classrooms. He would do his work, leave, wouldn't stay in his seat, was being mischievous. Just he did not skip school at the high school. He just would not stay in his class. He would do the work and leave. And that might be because I had him in private school and he was actually educated up to grade levels. So the work wasn't as challenging for him. So that was kind of an issue. I should have had him tested out so he could move up, but that's neither here nor there either. Um, he ended up going to the crossing school where he was doing pretty good at. He was doing well there. It gave him something other than just work to do.
Yeah,
It
job
gave him
training.
job training and skills to do. So then it occupied more of his time. And Mr. Matthews would come and get him on the days that he thought he was going to skip school. He would come in and get him for me, and I was grateful for that and the help that he provided for me. So yeah, he would come and get him. Um, this is how I started Just Cause JDC, because I felt like the youth in our communities, and it's in all communities. I moved from Illinois and came here, and it's here as well. It's in all communities. So there's no running from it. It's just building our children up enough so they can learn how to move through it, I would say, is
Right.
what needs to happen. So this is why I started Just Cause JDC. And with Just Cause JDC, we started small. We got our name out there and we do things in the community. We do after school programs. We're at Cleveland Elementary School right now. We only do after school for the athletes. The reason being is we have the Boys and Girls Club, we have Lifeline, we have a lot of different after school programs that will take your children in and keep them until you get off work. But what we don't have in the school systems is after school programs for the athletes so that they are able to stay at school and not go home and then not be able to come back to school to do those sporting activities, and they're at home running the streets.
Mm.
So I'm kind of the bridge the gap with the after school program. We're only there 1 hour. We make sure that we get homework done because they have to be able to make the grades, and then we feed them. And sometimes we're able to go outside as long as they get their work and things done. So we have been doing that for 2 years. Um, we also do fundraising. So we do fundraiser basketball game with the Elkhart firefighters. We do those in the month of June. This will be our third one if we're able to get this successfully done this year, because we're running into a few issues. But we do that with the firefighters and a local basketball team called the Bucks. Um, and we raise the money to do our Christmas in July. So in July, whatever money we raise, plus anything that's donated and any toy items, we do Christmas in July with summer toys. And we take the summer toys out to the lower income housing areas, into Washington Gardens and River Run Apartments and Arbors at Riverbend, if we can get enough. And we give them toys in the summertime to give them something to do: basketballs, footballs, hula hoops, jump ropes, sidewalk chalk. We give the older children self-care books. We give them reading material, coloring books, crayons, bubbles, anything for the summer you can think of, water squirters, because we don't promote guns. We're a nonviolent organization. And anything, remote control cars, we give them all out for the children in the summer. Our summer and our Christmas in July. And then moving throughout the year, we do um 2 times out of the year, we feed with the homeless. So we go down to the Faith Mission and we feed approximately 300 to 350 people. We do 2 sessions. And then in December, we go to Guidance Ministries and we feed about 50 of the homeless. When we're down there feeding them, we give them hats, gloves, socks, blankets, toe warmers, hand warmers to make sure that they can try to get through the cold months.
Right.
And then we also do a winter wear for the youth. We give out hats, gloves, coats, scarves out in Washington Garden apartment complex. And that's open to the public. We used what is that building called, Adrian?
It's the police hub. It's like a hub
Yeah, but they
where
have
it's where you could use for a community center in the
it's the
projects.
community center that the police department has
It's
out
in
in
the
Washington
projects. It's the
Gardens. We
projects.
use that center. They just opened it up. It's new and we've been able to get in there. We use that center to set up to give out the hats and gloves and coats and scarves for the children, and we gave out snacks and food as well. In October, this past October, the whole month of October, and we're going to do it again this summer. We set up every Monday breakfast for the children before they went to school. We were out there at 5:45, 6 a.m. with bacon and eggs and sausage and pancakes and
Right.
apples and bananas and orange juice and milk and muffins, trying to make sure that the children had something to eat before they got to school. So we're kind of bridging the gap in between, providing services for the youth and for the families until we can get our main focus going. So that's
Gotcha.
kind of where we're at right now. But 2025 we'll be launching some new things.
Wonderful, wonderful. All that bacon egg talk, you just you just got me. so so that's a good way to bridge the gap with the food. Nah, in all seriousness, so it's just cuz.
Yes, it's just cause JDC. And the reason why that is you know how they have fire at will for like if you
Mhm.
work here in Indiana, they have fire at will and it's called just cause. So my fire at will is the fact that our youth is killing each other out in the streets just cuz. They're doing
Mm,
it just because.
Uh-huh.
Because they can, because you said something incorrect. It's just cuz. They're doing it just because.
And then his initials.
So, and then the JDC is actually my son's initials, but that's actually where we want to keep them from going.
Jaden David.
So his name is
JVC.
Jaden David Cooper, but JDC is juvenile correction. So that's exactly where we're trying to keep them from
Juvenile
going.
Detention Center.
So
Wow, I love it.
it has a spin on that name.
Nice.
You see them. Correction.
Wow. Okay. That was a stay in your brain moment right there. I like that. Um,
Yeah.
so what age group do you guys serve?
So
What is your target population?
right now we are in the middle school age range and we're doing fourth, fifth to sixth graders. When we launch 2025, we're going to be keeping that in house as well, but we're going to go all the way up to 18.
Okay.
We're going to be launching a new program with our, we have two actually. We have the MRT, moral recognition therapy, that is not, they do it, they do have it housed for for incarceration, but within taking the trainings and getting a better understanding of it, it's not just for the incarcerations. It is also for mind therapy to try
Yeah.
to understand and get them to understand why they're doing the things that they do. And I feel like it's important to get to our youth and get to their mental state and finding out why they think it's okay to do the things that they're doing, because I don't see how you can kill another human being and have them not be seen to you as a human being. So somewhere along the line, things aren't clicking,
Right.
and they're making it a trend to kill one another versus just wearing their pants down. So we have to get to the bottom of that quick, fast, and in a hurry.
In a hurry. So you just mentioned MRT, so you talking my language now. I want to touch I want to touch on that a little bit because I also got trained in
Okay.
MRT. So the facility component, the incarcerated, is actually what I do. I go into the facilities,
Hmm.
and my target area is a little bit older than yours because we're dealing with adults in the penal facility.
Hmm.
So at one point we were 18 to um, 25-year olds. Then we went to 35. Now there's no age limit for
Hmm.
the demographic that we touch because trauma affects all of us,
It
regardless
does.
of the age. Like we've all been through some sort of trauma that we're unaware of.
Hmm.
And we don't, a lot of times we don't understand why we respond, why we react to certain things the way we do. Um, it has definitely shaped our paradigm. Um, a lot of times we're triggered like all day long and
Yeah.
don't really understand what's happening. Um, so, getting trained in that and being able to look at trauma, like it's crazy. Like, once like it opens up, you know what I mean? Like your paradigm completely changes because it opens up and it not only helps you to identify your trauma,
Yep.
but you can see when others react that they were just triggered.
Yep. Yep.
um, so that's a beautiful thing y'all doing there
Yep.
with that MRT. So how long have you guys been doing the MRT with the young men?
So we got certified to do the MRT. We have not launched it yet. We haven't
Okay.
launched it yet. Um, I want to take the trauma course as well, so I can be a little bit more well rounded with it. I do have the juvenile probations contacted me to see if we're going to launch it. I might do a soft launch and just take one class of 8 and run them through the whole course
You
just
staying
to
right by
see.
you staying right by the book, ain't you?
I'm gonna take one class by
Yeah.
8 number and launch it to see exactly, I want to do to see exactly how this is going to work for JDC, and then see everything that we're going to need to be ready to start doing full on um, sessions.
Okay.
So, but I do want
Right.
to take the trauma to make sure that I got it together. I don't want to just do one without the other.
Right.
And that's just for my own mental state of it, because I don't want to be incorrect while I'm helping someone.
Right. So currently you just did the basic MRT.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Who did you go through for your certification?
CCI.
Same place. Nice. And I asked that because when you mentioned the one group of 8 people, that's why I'm like, oh, you straight by the book. Like we ain't
Yeah.
going over 8. They told
I'm
us
a
8. We
stickler.
staying at 8.
I'm a stickler for the book. Trust me. Ask Mr. Matthews. I'm like to the letter. Like, what did they say? This is how it's supposed to be. That's how it's going to be.
Right. Nice. Um, so in the chat we have a nice Christmas in July event. How can others who are not in Elkhart donate to the organization? Both organizations actually.
Okay. So just because JDC has a website, you go into www.justcausejdc.org, and we have a donation button on there. We have people donating from Illinois, Texas, um, here in Indiana, Ohio. So we do have people giving donations that's kind of spread across. Word of mouth for JDC is getting out there. And like Derek said, he wants to have hubs. We're going to have hubs as well. We're going to have hubs as well in Illinois, in Texas. And those are our two next ventures. We just kind of want to make sure that when we launch this next venture, is going to work for JDC, and we're going to make sure we have all the right people put in place for it to be successful.
And to donate for Project Scope is projectscope1333.org, and click on the donate button, and you could donate PayPal or Cash App. We want to do Giblify, but we gotta create that. I have to get with you, Jamarcus.
Say less. Um, so with the just cause when you go to the website to donate, is there any kind of listing of like the type of things you guys need within the organization, or do you just kind of leave it to the discretion of the donator?
I'll leave it to the discretion of the donator. You can put in what you're donating it for.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put in what you're donating it for in the donation description.
Okay. Nice. Um, so in your guesstimation in dealing with that young population, um, what do you think are um some of the root causes for the the behavior, uh
Mm,
the mindlessness of it all?
I,
Like, what do you?
Question.
I had a conversation with another table of like-minded people, and they were asking the same thing. I explained it to them like this: it can go from a child being hungry and not having enough food at home.
Mm,
It can go from a child who's stressed out because they have a parent that's incarcerated. It can go to a child that is being molested, that is not speaking out, saying anything. It can go to a child who's been encouraged to experiment with drugs and they don't know how to control their behaviors. It can go to a child that's just merely trying to fit in and doesn't have correct placement. My son was biracial. He was very light skinned, dang near white, and he was not accepted by that population. And he went to our people flat out, and he would go to the projects and everywhere else. He didn't care as long as he was going to find some acceptance.
mm,
So it can be that. It can be, it's a multitude of things and issues. We all have problems. Children just don't know how to govern. Well, adults have a hard time governing these issues that they come about. So a
Right.
child that hasn't got any, you know, I can't say the right guidance. I can't even say that. I can just say a child that needs our help. Um, it can be a number of things.
yeah.
And that's why I try to meet several different needs, because I know you might be cold and you might need a coat. I know you might be hungry and didn't have breakfast that day. I know with this moral recognition therapy, we're going to be able to talk out some issues that you have going on. I know with trauma, I'll be able to talk to you about the fact that you might have been molested doesn't mean that you have to be gay. It doesn't mean that you have to be lesbian. It doesn't mean that you have to be what happened to you. You don't have to accept it in that manner. So these are conversations that need to be given and had with these children in order to be able to move them forward, because what will happen is they'll get together and everybody wants to be hard and tough. Everybody has something to prove. They have everything to prove that they're running away from. They want to be bigger than that, they want to be better than that, and they don't know the right way to go to overcome that. So then they're in the streets.
Mm,
They're running around in the streets. They're doing whatever their friends said do. They're doing whatever, and it's just a bunch of brokenness leading the broken.
Mhm. Wow.
So
Yeah. As you were saying that, I was kind of doing some self reflection and taking myself back when I was that age, as
mhm,
those were my troubling years.
mhm,
Um, and when you talked about running, like, I've recognized and I've acknowledged that when I was that age, I was running from who I was.
mhm.
And I became this alter ego, if you will.
Mhm.
Um, and I got so wrapped up in this alter ego that I didn't even know how to find myself, my way back to my original self.
Right.
Like I dug so deep that,
Mhm.
it's kind of like when they say, like the individual lie to themselves so long they believe their own lie.
Yeah.
Like I believed I was Superman. You know what I
Well, I
mean?
mean,
Like
you needed a
metaphorically
hero.
speaking.
You needed a hero.
Yeah.
You needed something to show up for you.
And that's exactly what it was. Um, and so again, it just took me to that place. So, just hearing that and knowing that you recognize that, man, like I know y'all doing some good work over there with Just Cuz, man. Like
Yeah.
I know it. Like I can hear it because when we dealing with these with these youth, and you mentioned it at the top when you first came on about bridging the gap.
Hmm.
Like that gap has gotten so big.
It has.
Like we skipped like 2-3 generations wide of
Yes.
this gap that it's I mean it's crazy.
It's
You know, I,
unbelievable.
very unbelievable to where, you got one group on this side of the gap, like neither one of them can identify with one another. Like there's
Mm-mm.
no merging, there was no assimilation. It was
Cut.
almost like time stopped, and
Yep.
then the youngsters came and like there's no understanding in between. And like with a lot of the work that I do, this journey became personal for me as well because I felt like with the voice that I've had, the positions that I've had, that I contributed in dropping that ball.
Yes.
Like I remember my generation and the elders before me, like they didn't leave us. Like
Right.
they instilled in us, they
Yeah.
disciplined us,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
empowered us,
Yeah.
they, made sure we got educated. And like I said, and as you begin to go on, like all of that just kind of fell off.
Yes, it did.
Um, and incarceration played a big role in that. Um, when we look at state of Indiana, almost 50,000 men incarcerated, like they in there fighting for their lives. They not really focused on
Yeah.
saving the next life
Yeah.
Right.
because they need help right now. You know what I mean? So it left a crazy thing, man. But I love the work that y'all doing over there, man, and touching those youth, man. And I think that's how we begin to change the narrative.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you for what y'all do over there. And we got about 7 minutes.
Okay.
Anything else you want the people to know about Just Cuz, and also give them the website and contact information again for anybody that may have just joined or missed it the first time you gave it.
Okay. Just Cause JDC is Youth and Family Service and Outreach. Our website is www.justcausejdc.org. Our telephone number is 574. What is it? Look, how did I forget my number? I don't
It
know it.
happens.
It's 574-301-1117. I put it like that so I wouldn't forget it. That is so funny. You want to give yours? And then I'm going to read something that I wrote before. You want me to read it? Okay. So I wrote this for one of my program overviews. Of someone was asking like, why did I choose like MRT and motivational speaking? And I put, we learn by actively engaging with our environment and people around us. The voices that we love comes from the people who matter in our lives, thus shaping our mindset. A voice holds power and is a way to express happiness, sadness, sarcasm, excitement, and discomfort. I believe that providing our youth and families with a safe place to Share a Voice will promote healing by teaching the tools needed to re educate and redirect the way of thinking that has caused instability, trauma, emotional detachment, lack of confidence, and self hate are the things that would secure viability to our community. Speaking and storytelling is motivational, allowing for viability, allowing for let me look at my place, viable circumstances to be shared and viewpoints of how to persevere. So we are stepping up to guide the lives of our future while we inspire our youth, elevate our families, and uplift our communities.
Mhm.
And then that's
Nice.
what I put, why MRT and life skills coaching and motivational and just sitting and doing talks like this is very important because I've come from a household of I've been in foster care. My mother has been incarcerated probably 85% of my life. I do not know who my father is. I have siblings. I have been a homeless teen living in a homeless shelter. I have been a pregnant teen. I've had miscarriages. I have been married and divorced. I have 5 children. I have biracial children. I have African American children. I've been in the medical field. Like I have so many widespread on it from a young child to an adult that I can relate. And I feel like it's my God given. This is what He has put. He said, I put you through all this and gave you all this so you can go out and you can help my people. So that's what I'm intending to do with JDC. I'm intending to help his people and I'm gonna start with the babies and work my way up.
Mm, ain't that it? Thank you for sharing.
You are so
Uh,
very welcome. You want
Mr. Matthews.
How you doing? So real quick, our scope, the acronym SCOPE is Soulless Community Outreach People Enhancement. SCOPE. Our mission is to provide a safe and stable housing for adults to transition into their community with adult literacy, social skills, and financial structure. And our vision is to transition our adults into life with skills to persevere. Our website is projectscope1333.org. Telephone number is 574-333-2949. And our email is projectscope1333 at gmail.com. And man, we're just trying to empower these men coming back to the community. Incarceration rate is high, as you already know. And upon release, we do not want recidivism. We want it to continue to lower. So that's what we're trying to do.
Nice, nice. So last question. With both organizations, do you guys do any partnering? Like, do you partner with any other uh organizations?
you partner with represent
I know
organization.
you talked about like in terms of like donations, you get stuff from different businesses and stuff like that. But like do you guys partner with anybody or are you sole entities?
I haven't solidified a partner as of yet. I have been doing some work with victims advocacy. We have not solidified our partnership yet. I do feel like that their program will be vital to what I'm doing so that they will be able to help the victims and transition. You know, they're more on site of if something happens in that moment and you need someone to talk to, say like the things that happened with my son, and then I go see there's a gap right there, so they will then fill that part because the prosecutor will speak with you and then advocacy will contact you and let you know that they'll be in touch once things move forward and then you're dropped. So then I feel like that program will then pick up and that'll be a help to my services since I am a gun violence and a nonviolent organization. We do touch bases with those things and travesties that happen in Elkhart County. We will show up and be present for those type of situations.
Okay.
And for scope, we kind of just sole entity. We're not really partnership because there's still a ministry that here in Elkhart, not a lot of people. We're getting some support, but as far as like full support, a lot of people are sometimes reserved when it comes to people. We have a passion for it, and as long as we continue to push forward, we believe that God's going to bless.
Amen. And we know he will.
Yes, yes.
Um, so lastly, this one is from me on a personal note. Ms. Matthews, I seen the picture from the toasting
Uh-huh.
that Derek Neal took with the young man with the
Oh,
shirts
shit.
on.
Oh yeah, I made your
So
shirt.
He made the shirts. He
so
made
I
your
was
fire
I
sharp as
was
iron.
told that you made the shirts.
I
Yeah.
did. I did. I made your logo larger, and I added a little bit more color into it. And yeah, I got that for you.
And
I
Jamarcus, thank you for starting Iron Sharpens Iron. It's been real great. Mentoring these kids. You've done a wonderful job. Founder, getting this thing
Yes,
off the
yes.
road. Man, it's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, I noticed that the logo had gotten bigger from what we had previously. Like I could see it all in the picture, right? So I say all that to say we gotta have a talk.
Okay.
we gotta have a talk.
Okay.
I like what you did there, and what I mean, I yeah, we gonna have to talk.
Okay. Okay.
All
Y'all got
right,
some hats
so
rolling out soon.
huh?
Y'all will have hats rolling out soon. I have some hats too. It'll be the logo on
Absolutely.
one side and SWAT on the other.
Nice.
It's
Nice. Okay.
oh, it's wasp.
Um,
I'm sorry,
Wasp.
wasp.
wow.
WASP. Wasp.
Sorry,
Yeah, wasp.
sorry, wasp.
Absolutely. We are stronger together.
Yeah.
Um, so I thank y'all for y'all time. I
Thank
thank
you.
y'all for y'all service, what y'all do in the communities. Again, for everybody that's listening, we got Project Scope, we got Just Cuz. Um, tap in. Tap in. These are two resources that benefit our people, our communities,
Mhm.
our youth, our returning citizens. These are all primary pivotal areas to making our society and our communities safe, peaceful, and working to curb this recidivism so
Yes.
that all of our men aren't warehoused in these
Right,
prisons throughout the state. So
right.
they doing wonderful work, but we all know that with that work, they're being greatly tasked, time wise, structure wise, financially. So any way that we as a society can support and help with that mission, we should do so. So I even challenge y'all to go check out their websites and see what way you can help them. If they're not in a position to help financially, maybe there's something else that you can offer and
Mhm.
bring to the table to support what they do.
Yeah.
And that's what our WASH is about. We are stronger together.
We're stronger together.
Yes, yes.
Each
Yes,
one
sir.
teach one, we push, we excel, we propel, we lift up, we inspire, we motivate, we empower each other to be better. And that's what it's all about. So I thank y'all again for joining me tonight. Thank
Thanks
y'all
for
for
Thank
having
you.
what
us.
y'all
Thank
do.
you.
I pray nothing but blessings and success over y'all personally, individually, organizationally. May his blessings pour down on y'all. Everybody that
Amen.
tapped in tonight, I thank y'all for y'all time. Thank you for joining us. Hope this empowers y'all just as much as it empowered me. And we'll see y'all again next week, same place, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Life is love. Y'all have a good evening.
God bless.
God bless.